All right, guys, and welcome back to 234 En La Casa. Today I'm going to prepare two different chicken casseroles. I'm going to do a chicken and broccoli and mozzarella casserole, and then we'll do a chicken noodle casserole, okay? So I'll bring y'all over, show you the ingredients, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. See y'all in a second. All right, guys, so for this chicken dish, I'm going to go ahead and boil. I've got 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I have about a tablespoon, well, no, more like a teaspoon and a half of chicken base and some onion. And this is the chicken base right here that I'm using, okay? I'm going to put some celery in here and bell pepper, and this is just going to be the base for the chicken dish. I'm going to cook, it's going to be the broth for the chicken. So it's kind of like making a stock for the broth of the chicken casserole that I'm going to make. So I'm going to add some salt, and that's black pepper. And then I'm going to have this, it'll boil here for about 45 minutes or so, okay? And the celery and bell pepper that I'm going to use, I'm going to keep them in larger and bigger pieces. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm just using them for seasoning, but I'm leaving them bigger because I want to be able to get them out easily because I'm not going to use these in the actual casserole. I will use the onion, so that's why I kind of diced that up. But in terms of leaving the celery and the bell pepper in the casserole, I'm not going to. So you can just leave these bigger pieces. That way, like I said, they're easier to get out of your chicken broth or chicken stock when you're ready to remove them, okay? Okay, guys, so we have our chicken cooking over here in the celery, bell pepper, onion, and that's done. And so, but I'm going to go ahead and start on the broccoli before I start dealing with the chicken and getting it shredded up. So like I've told you all before, I normally like to use fresh broccoli. So I'm just going to go ahead and get, like I said, my kids like the floret portion of the broccoli. So I normally cut everything else off. They prefer the floret, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. But we're gonna make these small. I'm going to place them in a colander so we can go ahead and get them. I'm going to get them washed off, and then I'm going to cut them even smaller for the casserole purpose. Okay, so that's what you're going to want to do is go ahead and however you like your broccoli. You may enjoy having the stems with your in your casserole along with the floret portion. By all means, do that. Whatever you enjoy is what you want to do. Okay, because you can always cut the stems shorter. You don't have little pieces of the stem in your casserole if that's what you would prefer to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I've got about 3 broccoli crowns that I've got to go through and cut. Fresh broccoli crowns. I'm going to go ahead and get them added to the colander, wash them off, and then I'll bring you all back and show you how we're going to make these florets even smaller for the casserole. All right, see you in a second. All right, guys, so I've got this broccoli washed and cut, and I left some of it where I'll show you all how I'm cutting it. But the rest of it I've already done. So I'm just kind of cutting it like this in some places to make it smaller because this is going to go into a casserole. Okay, and it's going to be baked for a short amount of time, not a long time. So if this is fresh broccoli, and I don't know how firm you're going to want your broccoli, but my kids like their broccoli kind of soft. So what I'm going to do to also make sure, to ensure that the broccoli is not just totally soft and limp, but just so it's a little bit softer, I'm going to blanch this broccoli. So the blanching process is bringing a pot of water to a boil with a little bit of salt, like a pinch of salt, and then submerging your broccoli or whatever vegetable in the water for 1 to 2 minutes, immediately taking it out and placing it in an ice bath. So that the cooking process will stop, okay? And that's exactly what I'm about to do. So I already have a pot coming to a boil. I've already salted. You put a pinch of salt in there. And so I'm going to add this broccoli to it once it comes to a rapid boil. All right, and so this is coming to a rapid boil. And one other thing that you want to remember too is whatever vegetable that you're going to use to blanch, make sure that that vegetable is at room temperature. There's nothing worse than having fresh broccoli. You're going to blanch it, but you're pulling it straight out of the refrigerator and trying to put it in a boiling pot. That's going to bring the temperature of your boiling water down. So it's going to, you know, kind of like it's going to ruin the process. So make sure your vegetables are at room temperature. Add them to the boiling water so that the water maintains its temperature. Leave it in there 1 to 2 minutes and then bring it out, okay? Don't add cold vegetables to a boiling pot of water for blanching, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this stuff added. Let's see. And you may have to add your broccoli in batches. I'm gonna try to go ahead and get all of mine added to this, because I don't have that much. And I'm gonna go ahead and press this down so that it's all submerged. But as you can see, even with it being room temperature, do you see how the roaring boil has stopped? Okay, so just imagine if this was pulled out of the fridge. So that is not what you want, because you want it to go ahead and cook. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and get this broccoli removed and placed into the ice bath. All right, guys, so these are the type of the noodles that I'm going to use. You can use macaroni noodles, you can use spiral, any kind of noodles that you want to use for this casserole, okay? But I just grabbed these. I'm not going to use the whole box. Well, actually, the box has already been opened. I have about a third of a box left of pasta, and I'm probably going to use all of this for this casserole, okay? Because these are some fairly large noodles. So I'm just going to use the third of a box that's left for this casserole for that, okay? All right, so this is going to be our pot for our pasta, and I'm turning it on high. This is cold water. I'm going to add some chicken base to this water so that I can boil the pasta in chicken base, so that the pasta will kind of take on that taste of the of chicken, since this is a chicken and broccoli casserole. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for that to come to a boil. And while that comes to a boil, and I'll show you the chicken base. Oh, yeah, this is the chicken base I'm going to be using, or I just got through using. To this whipped cream cheese, we're going to use about a cup of the chicken broth that's in this pot, okay? And we're going to put all of that in a bowl together. And so while I'm waiting on this water to come to a boil, we're going to go ahead and create our sauce for the chicken and broccoli casserole, okay? So I'll be right back, okay? And so then I'm going to grab a bowl so we can make this, the broth part of the casserole. So I'm going to use all of this whipped cream cheese, place that in the bowl. And like I said, I may add half a cup of sour cream to this too. I might not. I'm just going to see how it goes. And you're also going to need some mozzarella cheese, not for your broth. That's going to be to sprinkle on top of the casserole, okay? So you're going to need about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese, okay? Okay, and so then to this, we're going to add our cup of chicken broth. And the chicken broth that I'm going to use is the broth that our boneless, skinless chicken breast was cooked in, okay? All right, so that's about 3/4 of a cup, and I'm gonna get about 1/4 of a cup of it. That's more like 1/3, hold on. Okay, and add it in. And I'm gonna get a whisk in a second. I'm just gonna see how this kind of dissolves and how it does. I'm probably gonna end up whisking it. And what I'm looking for is, like, if the cream cheese is clumpy or what have you, if it's dissolving smoothly, then I'll just continue stirring. But if it's clumpy, which is what it's doing, I'm gonna go ahead and get a whisk, okay? So that way it will combine a little bit easier. So hopefully y'all can kind of see. All right, my chicken broth is coming to a boil. Well, for the noodles, I'm gonna go ahead and get those added. Okay, because we're going to be baking this at 375. Okay, but see, this is look at that. And it's chocked full of the seasonings that it was cooked in. The bell pepper, the celery, the onion, the chicken base. And it just falls apart. It's so tender. And you know, a lot of times when you boil chicken, it's not the best. But when you do it this way, it is so good, so tender. And so then I'm gonna get a hair of this broth, just a little bit, to put on top of this chicken, just to keep it moist. Okay. All right, and then to this, we're gonna add about half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And I'm not gonna add a lot. My kids are gonna be eating this, so I'm just gonna add about a half a teaspoon like it calls for. If it was just me, it would probably be 2 tablespoons or something. And then I'm gonna add about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of garlic. You add as much garlic as you like, whatever you enjoy. Then we're gonna add some black pepper. Let me show you the crushed red pepper. Sorry, y'all. This is the crushed red pepper, and this is the granulated garlic. And now I'm gonna add some black pepper. Okay, and then we're gonna add a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And so then that's it for the chicken. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of mix that together. And you can, if you are on a low carb diet, you can, or you know, just choosing low carbs, you can leave the pasta out of this dish and just have your broccoli and your mozzarella cheese, and that can be it. You can do it that way, okay? And I'm gonna add just a little bit of kosher salt. Okay, and then next I'm gonna go ahead and add, I'm gonna turn this pasta off because it is ready. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add the pasta over here with this chicken. And you also wanna keep in mind the liquid that you're gonna be adding, because you know, pasta soaks up liquid, especially if you're gonna be putting it in the oven to bake. So you don't wanna have a whole lot more pasta than you do liquid. And the pasta, of course, as it continues cooking, will continue to swell. So I think that this is gonna be a happy medium for this casserole. I've got enough pasta. My leftover pasta that I have in here, I'm gonna just put it in my dog's food. He eats pasta too. So that'll be fine. And then I do have another chicken and pasta dish that I'm gonna be making anyway, so I may just use some of that pasta in that dish as well. So it'll get eaten up either way. It won't go to waste, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I'm gonna be using mozzarella cheese. Go ahead and place this in here and get it grated up. And you're gonna want about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese. This may not be quite 1.5 cups, but I'll just look at it and see what happens. And what I'm gonna do is put some of this cheese on here, add my cream, mix it in, put the broccoli on top, and then add the rest of the cheese at that point, okay? We're gonna add our cream sauce. Now I'm gonna mix that in. And then we're gonna put our broccoli on top. I'm gonna put some, I'm gonna salt and pepper that broccoli when I put it on top. Put a little bit of butter. And then add the mozzarella cheese. And then we'll be done. It's so pretty. Look at that green broccoli, looks beautiful. All right, so that's the broccoli. I'm gonna put just a little bit of butter on here. I don't really have that much butter to put on here, but I mean, I have some more in the fridge, but I don't have any room temperature. So I just put a little bit of butter on there, kind of evenly kind of distributed it through. Let me go wash my hands real quick. All right, and so then now I'm gonna salt and pepper the top of this broccoli, and I'm going to just sprinkle on top there. And I'm gonna use pink Himalayan sea salt on top of that instead of that kosher salt. And that butter that I had, that I spread on there is salted butter as well. So, and you just put on here as much salt as you want to. I'm probably putting maybe like 1/4 of a teaspoon, if that, because I was sprinkling very lightly. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and add our mozzarella cheese on top, and then we'll be ready to go in the oven. And make sure it's evenly distributed. And you are going to place foil on top of this and bake it in the oven. So you're gonna cover it. And you're gonna wanna make sure that your broccoli is covered with as much cheese as you can. I don't mean like just, you know, 10 pounds of cheese or anything, but just to kind of cover that. Give it some coverage. And not leaving areas where the broccoli is just totally exposed. But if you want your broccoli exposed in some places, you can do that too. It's just whatever you prefer. All right, and so I'm gonna place some foil on top of this and just have it kind of tinted. I'm not gonna have it tightly, you know, tightly on the casserole dish, just kind of tinted. And you can spray your foil with nonstick spray to ensure that your cheese doesn't stick to the foil. All right, so I'm gonna place this in the oven. And you're gonna place it in the oven at 375 for about 20 minutes. All right, see you back here in a second. If you want your cheese to be darker than this, you can put it on broil for like 5 minutes and get your cheese darker than this, okay? And so I'm gonna let this sit for a minute, probably about 15 minutes, and cool off. And then I will bring you all back and taste test it and let you all know how it tastes. All right, guys, so I'm gonna grab a bowl and get ready to taste test the chicken and broccoli and mozzarella casserole that has some pasta in it as well. So let me take the cover off. And one other thing about this too that I didn't mention, you can get some parsley flakes if you'd like to, and just for garnish, sprinkle some on top. And you can also get some Parmesan cheese and put that on top as well, okay? So there's the parsley, and I'm going to grab, let me see here. Grab a fork. And what I'll do too is taste test this with just the mozzarella, and then I'll get some Parmesan cheese out of the fridge and put it on here, I mean, you know, on a serving for myself, and see how that tastes. But look at that. Looks yummy. Looks really good. Get some pasta added to that. And I'm going to bring the camera over too so you can get a close-up view of it. Let me bring it over so you can see. Okay. And you can see inside there the broth and everything that's in there. Okay, and so it's not a thick broth. Okay. And the broccoli, even though it's blanched, it did cook a little bit more, but it's still firm. It's firm. This is good. This is good. I'm going to get some Parmesan. And before I add the Parmesan, I can taste the heat from the crushed red pepper. I can taste the cheese, the mozzarella cheese. The broccoli is firm. It is not limp at all. And it's also not like hard, raw tasting, okay? Let me add some Parmesan. And I'll tell you whether or not I feel the Parmesan adds anything. I do know before I eat any of it, I'm sure the Parmesan is going to add an element of saltiness, okay? Not meaning that the dish is overly salted, but it's just going to add another level of saltiness, that's all. So let me try this and see. It's good with the Parmesan too. okay? I would even say that I prefer it with the Parmesan along with the mozzarella, okay? I really, really do. Let me take another taste of it though. Let me see here. Because this has Parmesan on it too, so let's taste it. This is good. It's really good. I actually, like I said, I think that I'm going to stick with the fact that I think it tastes a lot better with the Parmesan cheese added, which I normally don't even add Parmesan cheese to this. It just kind of came across my mind just a second ago to try it with Parmesan, and it's really good. All right, well, I will see you all back here for another episode of 234 En La Casa. And I know I said I was going to do another chicken casserole video, and I am going to do that. I'm just going to split these videos in two and do a separate chicken casserole video for, I think it's going to be like my chicken noodle casserole or something like that. So I'll film that in a separate video, okay? All right, well, y'all have a great, fantastic day. I will see you all back here for another episode of 234 En La Casa. And make today great, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.